Evening, everybody. Welcome to another show. Got kind of a double feature going on here. Tom Rabbit has been busy. He dropped a few videos. They're both relatively short, which is why I decided to cover them together. And I think I can kind of make a blend a couple points between them. So I don't really have any context for these because it looks like Darth has been kind of dividing his time between Clubhouse and Discord from the looks of Tom Rabbit's videos. Both of these videos, the first one's only a little over 6 minutes, and Darth. He's not in his own room. He's in somebody else's room having a conversation. And then the other one I think is it's either his own or one he's got mods for. But yeah, I haven't seen him around myself in my own wanderings. I don't know really what he's been up to, and I haven't really checked with Clubhouse to see if there's been any shows going on or anything. But yeah, so this will be kind of interesting. I mean, it's more psychologizing for me, really. I mean, so just me pointing and laughing at this cranky old guy. So yeah, the first one, he gets into an argument. I don't even know if it's fair to call it that about worldview. So we'll get started with that one. I'll say hi to everybody here. Let's see. Spooky, hello. John Fapiano, good to see you. Michael Deaton, welcome. Brandon, good to see you as always. If you're still here. Daisy, always good to see you. Pinworm. God equals. Whirlybird, good to see you. 8:30. Alex Baptista, Captive Death, Cranky Elder God, good to see you. Michael, good to see you. Thanks for showing up. Thanks to everybody for showing up. If you're able to show up live, you're not required to stay live, though. I understand if this gets boring. Danky Dunn, good one. Good to see you, Lord Redfang. How's it going? Clout, yeah, okay, all right. I think that's everybody so far. So, yeah, probably get this one started. I don't know that there's really much to really set this up with. Like I said, I haven't had any encounters with anybody lately, and when I saw these ones when they first dropped, I think this one's I think they're both from about 4 days ago. They made me laugh, so we'll play through them and see where we can go. Let me minimize myself. Same rules apply. Yell at me if you can't hear the video. Yeah, hit the like button or subscribe or don't, whatever you want to do, or maybe wait till the end. When you find out that my channel is a one-trick pony echo chamber, as it has been called by many detractors. All right, let's get this started.
So a metaphysical context is probably separate from a worldview. Presumably,
no, they mean almost
context.
They mean almost the same thing.
When you say
they don't
metaphysical context, you're talking about what there is, like external, like you already talked about the external.
No, what things are on the grand scale. I'm talking about what things are on a grand scale. Sometimes I'll say the word metaphysics. Sometimes I'll use the word worldview to be interchangeable.
Yeah, and that's not exactly helpful. Because I mean, I've been saying this for a long time. Like, look, I know that you conflate epistemology and ontology, and this is him essentially admitting to it. And I think that's where this guy is kind of going from, like, yeah, worldview and metaphysical, they wouldn't necessarily they're not going to be the same thing. That just isn't a shrewd way of putting that. Yeah, this obviously, I think everyone knows this is going to get worse, but here we go.
But that's wrong, because a worldview is a belief and metaphysics are not belief.
No.
Yeah, metaphysics would exist beyond our knowledge, or either what we know or what we're capable of knowing. That's sort of the point. This idea that metaphysics, this is interchangeable, is based on Darth Dawkins' kind of tortured theology. And it's the theological point that he's trying to make. And the thing that really frustrates him is that I think he tries to assert this stuff as if it's philosophically accepted in the terminology. And he's in the same way that he's kind of abusing and conflating the terms metaphysical and worldview, he's also kind of abusing the concepts of philosophy and theology. So if he shoehorns something in there from, say, Calvinist theology, Reformed theology, Van Tillian, theology, well, that's accepted in, that's, as far as he's concerned, that's right, and it should be just accepted, as sort of a mainstream approach to it. Like, never mind the fact that very, very, very few philosophers or anyone else would accept some of the ways that Van Til is kind of presenting his stuff outside of theology. They would just sort of leave it in that bubble. Like, that's just why a lot of people don't touch it. Like, okay, if this is your theological stance, sure. If you want to compare it, apples to apples with other philosophies, I don't know that it's going to go that far. So, but even if you put it that blandly, Darth will lose his mind.
No, that you are completely incorrect, sir. What is a worldview?
A worldview is a belief or a set of beliefs.
No, that is an inadequate and almost inaccurate answer. You want to try again?
I'm unsure how that could possibly be inadequate.
I said, do you want to try?
Inadequate. It could now. To that guy, I would pun it. It could be inadequate because saying a worldview, it's not inaccurate. Saying that a worldview is a belief or set of beliefs, I don't think is inaccurate. Now, if you're getting into more discussion on it, it might be incomplete, but not inaccurate. So Darth is automatically getting a little triggered here because there's an alert going off in his mind because there's somebody here that's not playing by the rules of Calvin Ball as Darth Dawkins has decided that what they should be for this particular game.
Again, because that is an inadequate, almost incorrect answer.
I'm pretty sure that encapsulates my concept. Anything that I could
okay, one more time.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that definition. If they're going to flesh it out, they can do that. But Darth is automatically getting confrontational with Billy here, Billy Conforto, and there's no reason for him to get this hostile. If anything, he should be following up with more questions.
Time. Do you realize your mistake? Obviously not.
Well, no.
Please point it out to me.
Yeah, he kind of asked you to.
No, it's fine. Please tell me what my mistake is.
Yeah.
So he's looking to see this Darth is going to lay in with an explanation. Michael asks, "What's the over under for how long until Ding Dong server mutes him?" That's the thing. In this one, he can't server mute him. So he does the Karen. He runs to the mods kind of thing. I'm going to speak to your manager kind of thing. But I don't think Billy's not a mod, so he's not going to be like, I'm going to get you fired as soon as I talk to the owner of the server. It's Billy is just a guest too, and so Darth tries to, like, well, there's no reason to talk to this guy. Get rid of him. I think he actually says those words.
A worldview is just not a. Repeat again to me what you said. Just to
repeat again. Like the blood is already so rushing so fast in his ears that he was incapable of remembering Billy's answer, which was a worldview is a belief or a set of beliefs. Like that's pretty easy. That's pretty basic.
I accurately quote you.
A set of beliefs.
No. Okay.
Okay.
People can have a set of beliefs, and it doesn't ipso facto constitute a worldview. A worldview is your entire.
Yeah, an isolated set of events. See, he's getting. This isn't even pedantic. This is just stupid with language. If you're trying to say a worldview is a set of beliefs, it would be a person's total set of beliefs. It's their set of beliefs, their assumptions, their interpretations about the world around them. Calling it a set of beliefs is not inaccurate. I don't really even think it's incomplete. It may lack a little bit of nuance. You could flesh that out a little bit more and use words like interpretations and intuitions and feelings, but those are all built into things that you believe, things that you know, claim to know, think you know, and those might include things that are real and not real. And Darth is now like, well, just because you have a set of beliefs, that doesn't mean that's a worldview. No, that wouldn't be a complete worldview if you're just saying, say, your political beliefs. Your political beliefs are not your entire worldview. The interesting thing is that this distinction, when used on Darth Dawkins from other people, like my religious views are not my entire worldview, he'll lose it on them because he'll try to say that everything kind of starts from the revelation provided by God. So you can't separate these other sets of beliefs. But now it seems like you can. Now it seems like he's willing to accept, oh, you could have a set of beliefs about, let's say, French cooking or gardening or, you know, 18th century literature, you know, the French Revolution, whatever, you know, international politics, international relations, business. Those are sets of beliefs about those different things, but that's not a worldview. Yeah, okay, yeah, a worldview would be your entire set of sets of beliefs. You don't have to put it that way. Although I actually think Darth would be pedantic enough to do that. It's your set of sets. It's the set of sets of beliefs for whatever reason. Like, I wonder if that would actually have calmed him down. Like, okay, let's not lose track here. Okay, I'm not talking about my opinions, my set of beliefs about the quality and quantity or the quality of 1980s American television. I'm talking about all my ideas, the set of beliefs.
Are you commenting even before I tell you what the correct definition of it is?
I'll take that back just a second.
Your entire. Are you commenting even before I tell you?
He's just saying, of course, that a set of beliefs is not just a world. You know, you can't just have one set of beliefs as a worldview. And I think that's what this guy's trying to think. Like, yeah, you don't have that. That's not what it means. But a worldview is your entire set of beliefs. It's a set of beliefs.
What the correct definition of it is?
No.
Are you done interrupting?
Yes, sir.
Okay. A worldview is your entire set of beliefs that are interconnected and interrelated like a jigsaw puzzle or a spider webs that will either be unified by something singularly concrete or some type of abstract unification of the entire set.
That's what I said, yeah.
No, that's not.
To be fair, that isn't what he said, because he didn't actually go into the rest of that. He didn't go into it's your set of beliefs. The first part of that, and I think he actually clarifies that. The first part was it's a set of beliefs. Darth is now adding on to that. It's not just a set. It's not just a set. It's the entire set of all your beliefs, and they all have to be grounded in either some kind of fundamental concrete thing or in some kind of abstract scheme that makes them coherent. Which is interesting because, like, it's one of these two things. It can't be anything else. And you know, too long didn't listen, too long didn't read. It can't be the abstract thing. You know, just a spoiler for anybody who hasn't been around the block a couple of times. Has to be a concrete thing. Has to specifically be the Christian God, for reasons that will come later, but not in this conversation because Darth will lose his cool.
It's not what you said. Okay, you know what? Lie to me one more time and we're done. That is not what you said. Okay?
Well, you did agree
stop right there. Stop right there. Stop right there. Stop right there, or I'm going to stop talking with you. You would.
I think the way that he's talking to him, and I'm not doing this because I think maybe like Billy is like a super genius or something, but he seems like he's pretty mellow, and it seems like he's fairly. Maybe he's a little decently schooled on some of this stuff, but he's calm enough where he's not really engaging, you know, too wildly with anything. So it doesn't look like he's getting into this conversation because he knows Darth, he's trying to trigger him, or anything like that. I suspect that out of this group, and I've never seen that particular Discord user. I'm not sure where this was at. If my name popped up in one of those groups, I'm sure Darth would run to the mods and make sure that I was server banned or server muted at least. But I've seen Darth react like this before, and this didn't occur to me when I first watched the video, but this is kind of how he would get when he was talking with like Massimo Pigliucci and the blue ribbon, the PhDs that he boasts that he's just owned left and right. Like they couldn't withstand the onslaught from Darth Dawkins' just witheringly intense intellect. But he was the one that got worked up to the point where I think it was Pigliucci was like telling him to shush. And he had to shush him like a child. And he's got the same tone of voice. He's just as worked up. Now, I've always made this observation before anyway. Like, he's always more anxious and he's always more uptight when he's in a room where he doesn't have mods. He's more likely to go off and get worked up because he can't self-soothe and cope by kicking the person, by hitting his own buttons. he has to get worked up, control himself, but then he knows that if there's an escape hatch to make the bad noises go away, he's got to appeal to somebody else to help him, and he hates that. So yeah, that's kind of what I think. I'm wondering if maybe he was listening to this guy talk, and then he gets into this conversation. They start having an exchange. Darth is automatically looking for an out. He's looking. You can tell in this conversation in the exchange, he's looking for, like, he grabbed onto that, like, you lied to me. Now I'm going to accuse you of being a liar, and then just get caught up in my feelings and get indignant and lay this out. And there's nothing there. He's just. I mean, it's pretty obvious to everybody else that this is like he's puffing himself up and just dumping any pretense at charitability in order to kind of virtue signal that he is now talking to a dishonest interlocutor, the scourge of social media discussions.
Admit right now that you just lied, or we're done talking. You just lied. That is not what you said.
You agreed with me in your first sentence.
Sir,
you actually
we're done
repeated my
talking.
definition.
Listen to me. How old are you? How old are you?
I'm sorry, what does that
You
matter?
can tickle all you want. Listen, I'm a no-nonsense person. When somebody lies to me,
no nonsense people do not demand to know the age of the people they're talking with, unless they're concerned that the person that has just come into the social media room sounds like they're 10 and maybe shouldn't be in there. Then you'd be like, wait, okay, you sound a little young for this room. Maybe you should go. Right? That might be a no-nonsense reason to ask why somebody's, for somebody's age. But Billy Conforto doesn't sound like he's too young to handle this conversation. Not to essentialize or generalize about the sound of people's voices, but it kind of sounds like he's an adult male. So, an adult male human. Now, maybe he's a talking fish. Who knows?
Typically is younger males who like to do this on the internet. I'm 61. How old are you?
I don't think he was lying to you.
I take
No,
it.
he was lying to me, and I'll prove it. All he just said is it's a set of beliefs. That is an almost inaccurate explanation. Okay.
It's an almost inaccurate explanation. Before it was incomplete, to be almost inaccurate, which is a weird way of saying that it wasn't wrong. It just wasn't complete enough for his satisfaction. But that's become the equivalent of "you're wrong, sir," and always with the "sir," the faux civility, sir.
Okay, you could have a set of beliefs, but it doesn't mean that it's your entire set, and that set of beliefs have to be interconnected and interrelated and are unified either concretely or abstractly. So you did not say what I said.
I never said it was an exhaustive definition.
Yeah, he did, and that's true. He didn't say it was an exhaustive definition when he gave it. He just gave a quick definition of it, and he did kind of clarify that he was like, "Well, your first sentence, you agreed with me. It's a set of beliefs," and then he went on to explain. Darth went on to explain the rest of it.
And I simply
Sir,
gave,
listen to me. You gave,
sir.
You agreed, and you agreed with me.
The only reason to say that kind of thing is you're trying to flag somebody down because they dropped their wallet or their briefcase or something. Like how this picked up, where I don't know, where did this come from in social media stuff? This is just bullshit. It's that is not no nonsense. You trying to disguise your rage and your frustration around faux civility is not a no nonsense approach.
Sir, you're interrupting me now. You're interrupting me now.
We're done. Do you understand? We're done. No.
Get stuffed. Politely, sir. What the hell? We're done. I'm not talking to you anymore. Now, if you're going to say that, you don't repeat that and then just stay there. If you don't want to talk to Billy, anyone who was in that room, if they don't want to talk to Billy, all they have to do is be like, "Yeah, I don't want to talk to you," and then leave or stop talking. It's really that easy. What's interesting is that when somebody follows through with that. Michael, the Canadian atheist, who is in the live chat right now, did this while on Praise I Am's channel. He was a guest on there. Darth came in. Michael said, "I'm not talking to him," and didn't. And what's interesting is that Michael was true to his word. He didn't engage with Darth. He didn't cave. He didn't talk to him. "I'm not talking to you," and he didn't do it. And that consistency broke both of them a little bit. Like, Praise had to turn it into a joke because then he had to turn around and say, like, "Oh, he was just They tried to turn it into some kind of cope fest where Michael was cowed into being quiet, or he just, he was too scared to talk or something like that, which is like, if you know Michael, the Canadian atheist, that's not his dialectic at all. So that's bullshit. But for Darth, and Darth was just, I don't understand why this jerk won't talk to me, because he said he wouldn't, and he did what he said. He didn't do what you do and stand in front of somebody, or it's, which is it's the social equivalent, social online equivalent of yelling at someone in a public space that you're not going to talk to them, and then what? Expecting that they leave? That's what he's doing. I'm not talking to you. I'm not talking to you. I'm not talking. He's not saying go away, but he's not leaving either, which in a public space, if you don't want to engage with somebody, is the thing that you should do. That's the polite thing to do, which I know Darth resents, but it's also the no nonsense thing to do. That's the alpha thing to do, even though there's no such thing. But you'd think that Darth, being like, a man of valor, of God, and, having the Holy Spirit in him, would know that. That's how you operate. Be no nonsense. Walk away.
No, listen to me. I don't do this. I don't do this. I'm not going to bicker with you, little boy.
You don't
like
have
with
to.
the cafeteria table. Good. Have a nice day. We're done.
When you want,
he just said, "Have a nice day." We're done. Have a nice day. And now he continues to speak. This gets even more cringy here in a second. Michael says he called me catatonic. Yeah, perfect. Yeah. He's like, yeah, he just sat there. And I think that was the word I was looking for, Michael. Thank you. He just sat there like he was catatonic, like he couldn't deal. Like, no, he stuck to his words. He said he wouldn't engage, and he didn't. Unlike Darth, who will tell somebody repeatedly, like he's doing with Billy, we're done. I'm not talking. We're done. I'm not talking. Watch how much more he talks to Billy.
Oh, I'm going to finish my thought. Can I finish my thought?
We're done. Hey, Instinct, you want to mute him? I'll move on to somebody else because he's a liar.
Can I just finish my thought? I'm happy to be quiet.
Okay,
I just
are you going to mute him?
or
Go to another room. I'm not putting up with this.
It's
Then leave. I'm not putting up with this. He wasn't putting up with anything. He was having a conversation. He blew it up, and now he doesn't want to put up with it. Okay, well then, you obviously need to, retire to someplace more comfortable, change your diaper, powder your nose, booger sugar Florida style, whatever it is that Darth does to keep himself up through these long nights of fighting for Jesus in the bowels of Discord. But
I'm not going to put up with this guy lying.
Darth, it's fine if you don't want to engage with him, but you can't stop him from sharing his opinion.
No, but what he's doing, he's lying, and I don't put up with lying. He either admits that he was lying, or I'm leaving.
It's just that simple. He wasn't lying. Now, the only thing I would do is be like, I would go far enough to say, okay, I think maybe Billy was being dishonest when he was like, yeah, that's basically what I said. When Darth was like, no, I think it's a set of beliefs that is undergirded by some ultimate foundational metaphysic that's a concrete entity or an abstract scheme that strings them all together. I'd have been like, yeah, that's not me. But Billy, if you have one of these conversations with Darth, this is me, after the fact, kind of, armchair quarterbacking the thing. When you're actually in one of these conversations, you don't get to finish sentences. And Billy, I don't think, has had a chance to finish one, except for maybe the one at the beginning.
Well, because I can prove he's lying. A set is not the same thing as an entire set. It could be a subset. A set is just simply either it is a plurality of beliefs. A plurality of beliefs is not the same thing as the entire complete grouping of all your beliefs that are interconnected and interrelated. You could have a set of beliefs that are not interrelated and interconnected, and they could also not be unified concretely or abstractly. So you did not say what I said. Now, do you?
Okay, and that's a lot of horse shit. Because if you try to like piece that together and go and look up what a worldview is, those requirements of Darth's are nowhere there. Now, if somebody is building an AI right now that's like you just filled an AI bot with like Christian apologetics, and actually you can go to ones like ChatGPT and ask them about this. They actually have precept built in. They know Greg Bonson, they know Van Til, they know their detractors like R.C. Sproul. You can put this stuff in there and kind of like run it past it just to see like, hey, hey, Chat GPT. That's not always accurate. And sometimes it's a little too very basic, depending on how much you want to prompt it. And there's some cases you can run the thing right into a rabbit hole and it won't track. But the even if you just go to something like the Internet Encyclopedia of Philosophy or the Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy, the Stanford one, um, this does not seem to me, that additional part that Darth's putting on there doesn't seem to be, um, in really any sense of the word, what a worldview is outside of some theological definition that he's not being transparent about.
Want to admit that you did not speak the truth when you said that you said the same thing I did.
First of all, I mean, I think it's ironic
Okay,
when you say
we're
something.
done. I'm going to move on with somebody else.
So he didn't want to talk with him. He was done with him. He asked him a question. Billy begins to answer the question,
And if he continues to talk, I will leave.
And then says, "If he continues to talk, I will leave." What in the hell? I mean, at this point, like, you just get rid of the guy. Like, there's nothing.
Because he is absolutely lying. He just got blown out of the water. He did not say what I said.
I feel like you're being a bit uncharitable, and you need to give him.
No, I'm not being uncharitable. Did he say that? Do you understand the difference? Let me explain this to you. You're going to be educated today.
I'm trying to moderate.
Yeah. So now he's gonna get pedantic with this guy who, from the sounds of it, is a mod. And to answer, like, Jay writes, why does Darth accuse a person of lying and then explain to them like they don't know what they were lying about? My guess is because this is when Darth will run back to his cope rooms and tell everybody, when I talk to these people, this is a sign of how deluded they are in their sinful thinking and their non-Christian ways, that when you lie to Darth, even if you're not aware of it, he gets worked up and takes it personally as if you maliciously intended it. And I know why you're asking that, Jay, because I think you already kind of had that, like, wait, isn't it kind of telling? Isn't he kind of telling on himself there when somebody's like, wait, how was I lying? And then he has to go in and explain this weird theology. Like they obviously didn't have that in mind. So how did they lie? Right. But Darth thinks, well, if you didn't know what I know, then you're denying the revelation provided by God. So, yeah. Don't you try to pull a fast one on me. Darth has never had a grasp on this. He never will. He cannot figure it out. It's not entailed from his worldview that he should take dishonesty personally from sinful people. That does not follow. If anything, he should actually take an enormous amount of comfort. If his worldview is true, then if these people are regenerated by the Holy Spirit and start to get brought over, then they will come to know the truth in time. If they don't know the truth, then the Holy Spirit hasn't done that work. Maybe it won't. If you're a Calvinist, that's always a possibility. Maybe it just won't happen. But you don't force it. You don't lose your shit. You don't throw a fit. You don't yell at them, curse them, and call them liars. You know they don't have the truth. You know they're deluded from your theological point of view. What are you getting so weird about? That idea should give Darth Dawkins confidence. The fact that he has less confidence when dealing with somebody, when this dynamic occurs, really kind of tells you what's going on with him. He doesn't understand the philosophical, the psychological, and the emotional entailments of his own theological worldview, especially when he's trying to project it onto others. He just doesn't get it. And the interesting thing is that it seems to me, the more I watch him, the more he projects these worldviews onto others. And I think this is the reason why, to get to Jeff B's questions, this is the reason why I think we're all interested in watching him. This man makes everything worse. Not just for us, for himself. Everything is terrible to him. Everything goes bad. Nothing is a source of comfort, especially his own religion. It's all traumatic. Like, I can't imagine, I don't know how he's made it to 60 without having a widowmaker heart attack, unless he's just being held together by a lot of really powerful statins and blood pressure drugs. I mean, this guy is just like, his mind is on a tightrope of fear and dread. Now, he'd probably come along and said, no, you don't understand. That's not me at all. And I'm sure it's not. If he's in his cave on his Apple computer or on his iPhone, watching reruns of SNL or 30 Rock or, whatever he's into, 80s television, then I'm sure he can probably calm down and deal with it. He probably has to watch TV and movies from the 50s because they have they're more closer aligned with his ethic. But as soon as he starts talking to people, everything goes wrong. Everything just goes wrong.
No, I want to explain something to you. A set is not the same thing as the entire. Okay, have a nice day. You guys want to be jerks? Okay, goodbye.
Rage quit.
Oh my God.
I love that. Thank you, Tom Rabbit, for that.
What the fuck was that?
Bro,
I'm tired. Okay, have a nice day. You guys want to be jerks? Okay, goodbye.
Rage quit.
Oh my God. What the fuck was that? Bro, you broke it.
There goes my yearly chance. Fuck.
I can't believe what just happened. That was.
I can. That's exactly what he's like. What do you mean you can't believe it?
Bill, have you talked to this guy before?
I didn't even like. What did I say?
I assume this is your
Wait.
first time speaking with him, Billy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like this always.
Yeah.
Every time. He's like it does not take the second he loses any kind of control of the conversation, he flips out completely. He cannot handle that at all.
By the way, did you get that, Tom Rabbit?
This is what.
So, yeah, there's that one. All right, let's switch this over. So, yeah, so that one came out 4 days ago, and I think this one came out like the same day or maybe the day after. And there actually is a little bit of a theme going on here. It's almost understandable given what my audience knows about Darth Dawkins, and if this is any viewer's first time watching one of these videos, seeing this guy kind of lose it trying to have this. I mean, it should always be noted that Darth Dawkins is a Christian fundamentalist, but he is ostensibly online trying to convert people to Jesus. He's trying to convert them to Christianity. How I don't know, because he's selling something that's terrible. But this one, actually, for my money, is even weirder. This one, he is in a room of fellow Christians, most of them evangelicals, most of them fundamentalists. In this particular room, the user that he ends up having this conversation with, the bulk of it, goes by the name Zen Shapiro. Zen Shapiro identifies as, if you go on Discord and you look it up, I'm pretty sure I've had like chat conversations with Zen Shapiro a couple of years ago, and he is how would I put it? He's a Christian fascist. He's a bigot. Hates the LGBTQ. I don't know that he's a racist, but I mean, Christianity has is bosom buddies with white supremacy, at least from an American perspective. So, and he's kind of in the gang. But he's sort of this reactionary, alt-fascy Christian nationalist type. So he's, either a theocrat but I think he's also a Trump fan. So at this point, yeah, he's just pure fascist. And, sorry if anybody, but fuck it. If you're a Christian nationalist and instead of waiting for Jesus to come back, you've fixated and gotten a weird, like, power play boner over Trump, your King Cyrus, you have gone from being a Christian nationalist and a theocrat to a fascist, because fascism usually needs a cult of personality, and Christian nationalists, evangelicals in this country, have just decided to dump an enormous amount of attention onto their golden boy. Piss orange boy. So Zen Shapiro is kind of in that camp. I don't think the Ben Shapiro thing image modded into his avatar is, it might be a little ironic, but I'm pretty sure he's a fan. So anyway, Darth's in good company here. These people are not PC. Fuck that. It's not just a PC. This is a lot of these guys are just hateful trolls and ghouls, the worst kinds of people. So at this point, there's a disclaimer in this thing. These people make comments about the LGBT community that are fucking offensive and really, really backward. To say that they're ignorant really doesn't do any justice to the definition of the word ignorance. So for anybody that doesn't want to listen to that kind of thing, maybe turn away now. But moving forward, going into this, we get to hear Darth Dawkins one-up an ultra-right-wing Christian nationalist on LGBTQ and trans issues. So here we go.
Okay. How about you, Zen?
Yeah, I'm a Christian.
Zen, where are you from?
I am from America, but I don't give out my
Never heard
specific
of.
location.
You don't know if he's a racist. Someone's forgetting Darth's MLK tirade. No, I know if that's for me, Maya. I know that Darth is a racist. I don't know if Zen Shapiro specifically is. I can't recall any conversations. Now, if Zen Shapiro has the same views on MLK that Darth does, then yeah, he's definitely a racist. I don't want to just say that he's a racist just because he's in the Christian nationalist camp, even though that is so close to it that there's barely any distinction to be made anymore. So my guess is I'm about 95% certain that he's probably comfortably in that camp, but you know, I'll allow 5% wiggle room for maybe he makes he can acknowledge that people of color have a different lived experience in the United States. I wouldn't bet money on it.
Never heard of it.
Are you the real Zen Shapiro from the Crucible?
Yeah, that's me.
What's the crucible?
You're lucky, Maya. This guy's he's a toad.
We are a debate platform. It's kind of like modern day debate, but much more refined, in my opinion.
It is
Not as creepy, sleazy, and disgusting, then, huh?
I guess that depends on who you ask, but
infinitely creepier, infinitely more disgusting, but in the different way. You'd think that for Darth, the idea, because I mean, Zen Shapiro is one of these guys. Oh, we're there to trigger the libs and yeah, it is. It's exactly what you'd expect.
In my bias,
yeah. Well, they host transvestites.
Well, we will have them on as debaters, but we don't have any of them on our team. So, like, we'll let the Transformers come on and try to defend their beliefs.
Hateful comment number 1 from Zen Shapiro. Notice what he called transgender people there. Now, despite the fact that he let that cute little insult fly, Daddy Darth is not. He's not impressed.
But, yeah.
You'll let a guy in drag come on camera?
Well, to their own embarrassment, but yeah.
No, I think that's a mistake.
What if you didn't know?
Well, I mean, like we're a neutral platform.
Here's the thing. If Zen Shapiro is saying, oh yeah, we'll have them on here to laugh at them, ridicule them, and let them embarrass themselves because we know they can't win an argument. That's okay. So that's all you need to know about the Crucible. Don't go there. It's not an open or fair or neutral debate platform. It's a place for these guys to pretend they're owning people that disagree with them, and they're just going to assume that they're right from the jump. So what's Darth's concern? You'd let a guy on there who appeared on camera wearing a dress? He'd be in drag? How would they know? First of all, and this is the terrifying thing for Darth. Keep this in mind. Darth has been doing this for over 10 years, as he likes to say. And he's been doing this on a variety of different platforms. Darth has spoken to many transgender people online and never knew they were. So this is just superficial virtue signaling horseshit.
Platform. Like we as the hosts have our own biased opinions. But we'll let anybody come on and attempt to defend whatever.
I know, but you're still sanctioning their fraud.
Well, that depends on what you mean by sanctioning.
Almost everyone in social media does not use their real name. Is this fraud?
Okay, well, what if they come on and do your guests typically do they just have usernames or do they use their real identity? What if they're coming on and they're giving you a fraudulent public identity? You're gonna let them come on?
How would you make the distinction between? Do you Google every name? And then so what? What if you find a Facebook account under that name and oh, okay.
Well, I'm confused. Do you mean when somebody comes on with a screen name, like are you
No,
saying?
no. I think we all know what a screen name is. I'm talking
Oh,
about
okay.
they come on with a fraudulent identity.
This makes no sense. So he's actually trying to say, like, okay, so it's pretty obvious that Darth Dawkins is not, that's not actually his name, especially when he's had other usernames like Evolution Faults, et cetera, et cetera. He doesn't come on here with his real name. So if he came on here with the name Don Dawkins, and then I go to Google Don Dawkins and I find a picture, the avatar picture next to Don Dawkins here matches a Facebook account or maybe a LinkedIn account that matches there. This must be this must be a person. But then I find out that it's somehow, who would determine that? Nobody cares. I I could call myself anything that I wanted. I could call myself Dancy Reagan. No one cares what your avatar is or what name you're going under. This is superficial horseshit. And I don't understand why he's like, and I'm not even doing this to argue like in defense of Zen's goofy crucible, nonsense. This is just a weird standard for Darth to hold people to. Like, are you supposed to be ministering to everybody? But he's already, I think for those of you savvy enough to kind of understand where Darth's going with this, I think you'll see what he expects Zen Shapiro to do and others like him.
You mean
You
like
know,
like they're
I'm Maury Slamowitz from such and such nonprofit organization where it's a fraud. It doesn't exist.
Well, yeah, this is a good one. David, thank you for the super chat, and he makes a great point. I certainly hope the Crucible wouldn't allow someone to use a picture of someone else as his avatar. That would be immoral and disgusting, which Darth did. He tried to trap people by using a video of another YouTuber who had passed away. And S.J. Thomason helped him. Like, oh yeah, they'll pick up on that, and then they'll start running that. They'll run that by, and everybody will believe that's actually what Darth looks like on camera. You mean, does Darth mean that? Because it doesn't sound like. I mean, maybe Darth was in the flesh that day. Holy Spirit took a break, stepped out for a smoke, and Darth got all Twitter-pated and decided to do some heinous shit online, right? I mean, Darth can usually talk himself out of anything. I'm just hoping that he's got that gift to gab when he's talking to St. Peter at the pearly gates, because I think he's going to have some splaining to do. Justin writes, you should totally change your name to Dancy Reagan and try to get back into a chat with Darth. I should. If I was going to do this, like, these guys don't consider me like a quote unquote real man. So for me, what I would do is appear on camera, but I would give a gender performance that I felt would point out their hypocrisy. Lots of beard going on, maybe paint on some thick bushy eyebrows, because I've got like Kevin Spacey wispy, creepy eyebrows. Flannel shirt, maybe some overalls, a shotgun just hanging off one ear like an earring, something like that, whatever it takes, a hat with antlers on it, a beer permanently like in the pocket, of the overall, something like that. Just really, really work it up. And I'm sitting in a wood pile, and there's a bear like ready to attack. Whatever it takes to really like get across that I am all that is man. And then call them out when they don't think that what I'm engaging in is anything other than blatant gender theater at that point, which seems to be what they want. When they do this kind of crap, like, I don't want somebody on here pretending. Really? So if a transgender individual identifies as something other than the sex that they're born with, you expect them to come on and pretend to be the thing they're not. That's precisely what you want them to do. You want them to pretend they're something other than what they really are. You don't want to know what they really are because you're too ignorant and hateful to understand it. And you don't want to try, and you don't want to be challenged. You want things made nice for you. And if they're not, then you'll pave over that. You want it canceled. And I thought these guys were supposed to be against cancel culture, but they're not. Wilberforce writes, am I crazy, or isn't precept just a defense of Christian sophistry? No, you're not crazy. That's pretty much what it is. And thank you very much for that super chat. I appreciate it. Still thinking about that Dancy Reagan account. I'm going to do that. Blair writes, I'd pay to see that. Yeah, I think I'm going to start buying the the props for what I'm going to call it. It's like a combination of like if Ron Swanson drank the ooze and became like Super Ron Swanson, you know, if anybody catches those two references, something like that.
That's not who they are.
Right. Yeah. Like we attempt.
Okay. Right. So a dude comes on, with a bad wig, bad lipstick, and a barely visible 5 o'clock shadow on an Adam's apple, pretending to be a woman, and you're going to have him on?
Okay. What if a trans individual comes on and you have absolutely no way of knowing? There's no way of determining. Are you gonna just? I mean, I'm surprised that Darth Dawkins just doesn't accuse people of being secret transsexuals, transgenders, transvestites, quote unquote, as he calls them, because he thinks that these are all the same thing. And just insist that they are, and then mute them and kick them. I'm waiting for him to get that, for the brain rot to develop to that point, because this is not a standard that somebody like Zen Shapiro or anyone else can reasonably hold to if they're going to do some kind of debate channel where they get participants to come in, especially when Zen wants to make fun of people like that. The person that Darth is talking about is a sitting duck for a shithead like Zen Shapiro. Somebody who is attempting to transition, doesn't have the money for surgeries, maybe doesn't look the part quite yet. They're still working on it, to whatever degree their transition is at. But what we need to do, like if that person's in there, you'd allow them on there. Zen would. Zen's already admitted the reason he would do that. If they come on there and they look different or talk different or sound different, Zen's there to mock them. He's there to bully them. And Darth is like, no, that's conceding too much. You've ceded too much ground to these individuals. They're activists and they're looking for you to mainstream them or platform them. Darth is here actively advocating for right-wingers who are supposed to be First Amendment first and liberty this and all that. He is advocating for the just open, no excuses cancellation of an entire group of people, which we know a lot of people are. Michael Knowles is doing this. Ben Shapiro's doing this. His idiot sister is doing the same. All these hateful bigots are doing this crap. They never actually go into an extent of how this is supposed to get pulled off. How does this legally happen? And I mean, how does Grandpa Darth here explain? He's gonna put little Zen Shapiro on his knee and like, look, I understand you want to make fun of these people. I get it. I was a scamp once just like you. But you don't understand the danger you're putting yourself in, son. Like, this is sick. Really fucking sick. Like these two guys coming together, it's just, they're so similar that the energy is just really starting to ramp up.
Well, not to prop up, like we will have them
Of
on.
course you are. You're catering to their delusion by having them on.
No, we're not. So we're not letting them on to just tell everybody about how awesome gender ideology is. We're having them on against an opponent who's going to expose their gender ideology.
Okay. So how about somebody comes on in a rabbit suit? Okay.
This is stupid. Now Darth is going to begin doing what I think can be safely called catastrophizing. Grey Knight writes, and these transphobic pissants are only full of bravado when they're safely across an internet connection. In person, they're always so shy about the bigotry because they know they'd catch hands. Yeah, unless they're like in a Proud Boys, group or something like that, where they're there's kind of safety in numbers. On their own, yeah, less likely to be this kind of, which is weird because Zen Shapiro is like, oh yeah, I'll have conversations with them, I'll call them out, I'll argue with them just to prove them wrong, yuck, and make fun of the way they look and make fun of the way they talk and do all the punching down that Zen needs to do to feel like a real man, I suppose. But Darth's here to tell him, like, look, there's probably better people for you to do that with. You need to abuse and bully more atheists or skeptics, but you need to have a purity profile. I only want to see you as a fellow believer in Christ abusing and ridiculing face to face or over an internet connection, skeptics who are cisgender. How would they even know? How would you? It's the internet. Darth Dawkins could be transgender for all we know. No one knows.
Comes in what?
And they say, I want to defend such and such, but I'm a rabbit.
Yeah,
You let them on?
Well, yeah, we'll let them on and see if they can defend their claim, but they usually just end up
Dead
embarrassing
silence.
themselves. No, I'm responding. Can you not hear me? Hello?
Yeah. I said dead silence.
Did you not hear what I said?
No, I didn't.
How fucking conceited he sounds here. Oh, crickets. Dead silence. Not hearing anything. Like, yeah, it's probably because your hearing aid battery died or something.
Oh, I must have cut out then. No, I said we'll let somebody on. I mean, assuming it's not just, a troll, but if they're coming on and they legitimately believe what they believe.
Well, what's the difference? What's the difference between somebody who comes on and is saying, "No, I'm really a bunny rabbit," versus
For the purposes of an online debate channel, who gives you shit?
some guy goes, "I'm really a woman."
Well, if somebody
First of all, those aren't the same thing. Second of all, even if somebody did, the fact of the matter is, if like Darth wouldn't tolerate that because he just assumed that the person was screwing with him, so he knows this example isn't going to work. Also, I could be wearing a head-to-toe pink bunny outfit right now, but unless I go on camera, none of my audience are aware of that. Or I could be sitting here nude. I'm actually just lying on my back in a shallow pool of KY jelly. Well, I guess if you're Darth, like once you know that quote unquote fact, you have to let him. Well, I can't talk to you then. You have no way of establishing what that is. What the hell are you talking about? The only way that you can do this is if somebody, and this would be the interesting thing too. If Darth Dawkins was a guest on the Crucible and was going to end up having a debate over trans rights, he'd probably make sure, no, I'm only talking to somebody who's cisgender. And I'm like, okay, sure. Wink. We know that Darth's not appearing on camera, so the person that he's going to be talking to doesn't have any reasonable expectation to appear on camera either. And we already know Darth can't recognize voices, so how would he know? Again, this is bizarre brain rot thinking.
wants to try to come on and defend that they're a bunny rabbit, then they're more than welcome to do that.
Okay, well, then you're a fool. You're not a really serious debate platform.
Okay, I mean that's
you let some delusional clown.
I do not have an OnlyFans. I'm a stuntman for several, though. Sorry.
Come on, you're gonna get somebody comes on and says, I'm a 9-year-old little boy when they're a 39-year-old man.
Well, I mean, you got to lend some sort of charity here because that would basically be like saying anybody that doesn't agree.
Oh, okay.
With
How about some white dude who frizzes his hair up and comes on in blackface? You're gonna let him do that?
Well,
Again, this okay. So I want to get into this because I think Danke has made it. This amount of ignorance is overwhelming me and hurting my brain. Yeah, it does. This is like the rabbit season kind of thing, where they're just like yelling at each other, and eventually somebody gets shot with a shotgun. But it's always the same guy getting shot with a shotgun. There's no reason to entertain what Darth is doing here because this is what happens to somebody who's developed the brain cancer from years of mainlining and snorting, not only Florida booger sugar, but also right-wing news. If any of you have ever watched any like clips of Tucker Carlson, that one of the shticks that he'll do when he goes into one of his moral outrage sessions is to talk about something that looks like it's going to be a problem. Somebody's pushing the wrong book in schools or something like that, or they're going to pass a law that's weird. The Dems want to do something. And then he'll start what's called catastrophizing. Now, there's a difference between this. There's actually a term for this. I can't remember the psychologist or psychiatrist that came up with it, but it's kind of when it happens to you mentally, it's a sign of kind of an anxiety disorder or depressive disorder. It's usually your brain just spirals and you just keep thinking of worst case scenarios. Another word that this guy used was awfulize. So it just keeps getting worse and worse and worse. You just keep thinking of all the different permutations of how everything can go bad. But there is a way that people, and I've seen this, I mean, you can see this in lots of different media, but you really see it from guys like Tucker Carlson, where you present some kind of scenario and then immediately say, well, what if this happens? And then what if that? And then what if this person wants to do it? And what if that? And then what if this? And where do we draw the line? It's like, if we allow an inch, they're going to take a mile. It's just, you can hear them just losing not only their mind, but also losing any and all credibility to really even think through the problem, because they're just spitballing random scenarios like what he's talking about. Well, what if they showed up? What if they showed up on camera in blackface? I don't know that Darth Dawkins isn't in blackface during this conversation. He doesn't show up on camera. So he hasn't even made this distinction yet. He's just said, you'd let somebody show up on camera in drag. That's where we started. And now all of a sudden it's somebody showing up on camera in a bunny suit. So what? Somebody showing up on somebody who showed up on camera in blackface is looking to troll everybody. Everybody. That's totally different. I would expect somebody in Zen Shapiro's camp or Darth Dawkins' camp to do that. Darth Dawkins has had long conversations on Clubhouse and probably on Discord with a user named PMars. And PMars is exactly the kind of person who would do that. And everyone would know why he was doing it. Completely different than talking to somebody who is transgender.
What about like if a Muslim comes on and says Allah is
No,
the true God?
I ask you, no, that's an a different ideological thing. Okay.
But he believes in gender ideology. They both do.
Okay. Now, are you going to let somebody come on in blackface and they say, well,
And I want to clarify that gender ideology is a bullshit term for basically saying like these people don't actually have a real stake. They're trying to push some kind of ideology that LGBTQ stuff is okay. And they're trying to do this to the kids and convince everybody that that's normal. One, it is. Two, it is okay. And three, it's not an ideology. Sex, gender, and orientation are not ideologies. They're facts of individual human identities. And these idiots, neither one of these guys can grasp this. And watching the two of them strangle this cat, one from the neck and the other one weirdly grasping at the tail and maybe one of the hips, it's weird watching these two idiots try to torture an animal, rhetorically speaking, in the most oh my God. They don't even have anything to defend. So Zen Shapiro's like, no, you don't understand. It's a perfectly hateful place. You just don't, old man, I don't think you understand just how much abuse we hurl at these people. And Darth is too obstinate and too fucked up to understand, like, no. I'm in a conversation and I'm telling you what I expect from you, and I want you to do it, and I don't care what your reasons are, one way or the other. This is my standard. Okay. His standard is to abuse them, ostracize them, is to abuse them so that until they ostracize themselves. Darth's is to ignore them, and that's his form of ostracizing them. What? So you're both horrible people. I think you guys can agree on that simple fact. But Darth is still talking.
I'm black.
We probably would avoid that for TOS purposes, but if there's no TOS, then yeah, let's do it. Let's debate it.
All right. Okay. Yeah. Well, you're a sham. Okay. I'm done.
Okay.
Yeah. You can laugh all you want.
I don't know.
It means you have no standards.
No, we do have standards.
No, you don't.
Jesus, Darth, he's already laid out his standards. He's a hateful bigot who wants people on there so that he can bully them verbally. That is his effing standard. I don't understand how Darth does not get this. Darth's standard is, I won't even talk to these people. And I've got news for Darth. He already has, and already is, and will continue to do so, as long as he's hiding on social media, behind an avatar and a username himself. He will continue to talk to people who are of orientations that he doesn't agree with, and he won't know about them. He's talking to Christians right now. And by right now, I mean these days, that have these issues in their life. They just don't talk about them. They're not going to talk about them in the groups that he's at in Clubhouse. They're going to get ostracized from the Christian groups. And they're certainly not going to do it on Discord, because that place is a cesspool. So they're just going to go along to get along. He has talked to many Christians over the years, ones that he has no idea that they are gay or trans.
Don't.
Yeah, okay.
No,
I mean,
you let perverts come on, and regardless of the topic, this is a form of societal capitulation. Okay. What do you call? Okay, What do you call a same-sex romantic relationship?
Sodomy and perversion of, a true relationship. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Like I have my.
Did you catch that, folks? So he asked him, what do you call a gay relationship, a same-sex romantic relationship? Zen Shapiro snaps to, like a lot of theocrats. Oh my God. It's sodomy and a perversion of the natural order, the natural relationships. And Darth's okay. Oh, all right. Okay, I see. Oh, maybe we agree on more than I thought. That to me, when I heard that, I was just stunned. I'm like, did you not think? Was he really not picking up that Zen Shapiro was not oh no, try, yeah, we have him on there, but no, we provide an open platform and we really allow everybody to present their opinions. We don't allow insults or anything. No, yeah, no, they're not allowed on my team. We have them on there so that we can, we can insult them, call them stupid, point and laugh at them. Classic early 80s, horny 80s movie kind of shit. Darth is now finally realizing, oh, okay, Zen might be somebody Darth can have a beer with now.
My own views, but like if we're not gonna have, or if we're gonna have a debate platform that's neutral, what's that?
Well, there's no such thing as a completely neutral debate platform.
I agree. I agree with that.
Yeah, again, Darth not being charitable at all. I'm pretty sure, and I hate to do this to defend Zen, I think by neutral he meant they're trying to do a fair and open one. Although he's already admitted it's not neutral, it's not fair, and it's not open if the only purpose of having certain people in is to laugh at them and insult them. For some reason, Darth missed that message. And it wasn't until Zen could give the appropriate definition, the appropriate Christian nationalist definition of a same-sex romantic relationship that Darth is now like kind of backed off a little. Oh, I can pump the brakes. I think we're dealing with a good American here.
But I'm saying, like, if we're gonna have all of you, like, if people are gonna want to come on our show, then they're gonna have to feel like their views are welcome.
You're getting suckered. You're getting. And do you call them by their female? If they came in, are you going to call them by their female name?
Again, if you can't see them and they're going by the name Dancy Reagan, what difference does it make? Cascade, thou protest too much. I'd pay my basic pay to have a good look at Dee Dee's hard drive. I think you'd go blind. I think not just like, classic blind. I think your eyes would melt out of your skull like they did to that Nazi at the end of Raiders of the Lost Ark. All those Nazis, but yeah. I don't think anybody should look at his hard drive.
So the way that me and my partner, our policy is that
Sorry.
we will call you by whatever screen name you're presenting.
Okay, all right, get out of here. You're a loser. Get out of here. No, get out of here. You're a loser. Get out of here. You have no standards.
I don't. Makes no sense.
Yeah, get out of here. You're a loser. You're an attention whore. You have no standards.
And Darth has no brain. Hogtie Champ, good to see you. I just got here. Start over. Well, you can try and watch me in 2x speed. Start from the beginning. Try to catch up. Don't do that.
I can't stand these people going, "Oh yeah, I'm a Christian and we want to have a neutral platform." There's no such thing. Okay.
He kind of admitted that he's not really trying to have a neutral. He wants the pretense. Like Darth can't even read between the lines. Zen is a bullshit artist and wants to run something like the Crucible with the pretense that it's a fair and open and neutral debate platform so that he can fuck with people. It's a bait and switch. I would think that Darth would be all about that. He didn't even put that together because if he did and he had a problem with it, he should have castigated Zen for that. No, that's dishonest. You come out here and you pretend you're a liberal Christian. You want to debate the issues, have it out between two people in opposing on different sides of an issue. But then the only reason that you want to have them on there so that you can point and laugh at them and just denigrate them. Well, that doesn't sound like it's fair and neutral or open at all. That would be something that you could, and I would say that should be the Christian response. A bunch of Christian bros hosting a debate thing, and Zen has told you, yeah. I mean, he said the quiet part out loud, but I'm pretty sure anybody that has seen Zen's profile on Discord or any of his other previous comments knows that if he's running one of these kinds of debate channels, that's precisely what it's for. It's so that they can see these debates, and then after they happen, they can go into cope rooms and talk about how much they owned the lib, or oh, look at that, insert disgusting expletive related to anyone in the LGBT community, plus or minus some ableist, ageist, and which I got to be careful with because some of my commentary is ageist, and what's the other one? Well, ableist is be bad enough. They'll do that too. Ableist and ageist. They do this to each other all the time. Darth does it all the time by trying to make things about people being too young to understand him. And so when people try to point out that he might be too old to understand him, then he loses his shit and really clings to his double standard, which is why I use my not so subtle ageist comments against him. Because one, I know they don't really work, and two, he's a dick. I know that doesn't excuse it, but I don't care.
I understand if you want to have a fair platform, point counterpoint, but you're going to allow these transvestites to go on and propagandize your audience, okay? That they're a woman. It's disgusting.
Oh, Michael Deaton. Darth used to sit in Nadia's room and argue with people all day long. I think he drops her name at some point during this, actually, Michael. Yeah, and I guess it was okay for Darth to do that. It was cool. Hogtie writes, next time you're talking to YouTube, can you please remind them to send me my notifications when I clicked on the notify me thing 2 days ago? Yeah, well, if I had real poll, yeah, my tiny channel, I don't think they're going to do me any favors, Hogtie. Oh, interesting. Let's get 100 here. 55th Street and whatnot. Darth is full of shit and making a big deal about this. It's all about the crucible, not inviting him on. So I think Deaton's got maybe some insider info. Someone has spilled the tea about this. Yeah, because it's weird because at the beginning of the conversation, it didn't seem that Darth really knew who Zen Shapiro was, which I thought was weird because I'm pretty sure in other Tom Rabbit videos that have featured Darth on Discord, in different Discord rooms, he's been in rooms with Zen Shapiro, but he's having a conversation when he had to ask him if he was a Christian. I thought that was like he wasn't paying attention to him, and I recognize Zen Shapiro, and I don't spend a fraction of the time in these Discord rooms that Darth does. So that was kind of weird to me. But I heard the conditions he was living in a while ago were not good. Maybe some things have happened, mold, toxoplasmosis. I don't know what's going on. But Darth has lost it a bit.
Okay. Here, one quick question before I remute you again. Do you ever watch Jeopardy?
Not recently, but can I clarify what I was going to say?
No, you can't. I have a question for you. Now, do you know that recently?
Well, we don't acknowledge their pronouns, bro. We don't acknowledge their pronouns.
Zen.
We don't acknowledge pronouns.
Zen. Jeopardy.
Yeah. Nothing. Zen's like, oh, bro, but we don't acknowledge. He should have also thrown in for Darth. We also dead name him whenever possible. Holy shit! Oh, we don't respect the pronouns, bro. Does Darth care? No. Darth needs to own you, Zen. You just bend over and take your paddling.
Has over the last couple of years had people participate who are transvestites, who are pretending to be women.
I don't think that's true. I think Jeopardy has had people on who are transgender. I don't know that they've had cross-dressers on. Although they may have had people who are drag performers. I'm sure the years it's been on, I'm sure why wouldn't they? I'm almost certain that probably must have come up. So what?
Is that capitulating to the LGBT agenda?
To have a cross-dresser on? No. What is cross-dress? Like, I don't get these guys. Like this drag stuff. Like this is just conservatives and Christian, ghouls, and there's other. It's not just Christians, but I mean Christians, at least here in this country, culturally, are the loudest about this. It seems, freaking out about the drag thing because they want it to be an extension of what they think is an LGBTQ ideological campaign to make everybody think that it's okay. The interesting thing about this is that the vast majority of people know it's okay. It's overwhelmingly like, or they're kind of indifferent. The fact that there are people out there that have a different orientation or identify differently in terms of their gender, or might be intersex, which would get into kind of a rare but kind of an actual different sex issue. The fact that these are situations that exist, real people that exist, a lot of people are okay with. But there's a vocal minority of nitwits that are, and this does seem to be more and more the case, really seem to have some problems going on in their lives, and really need it to be true that there is an enemy in America, and that enemy is the tip of the spear at this point are drag performers in schools. This is just the newest hysteria. Before it wasn't that. Before it was probably, oh God, this has been happening since the 90s, back when I was a young conservative. What did they go after back when I was in? It was women's livers still in the 90s. They brought that back for a bit. That was good for the manosphere types. Feminazis, that was Rush Limbaugh's favorite one. And then the gay rights advocates came out. And then it wasn't drag performers, it was always pride parades. Always with the pride parade drama. And now they don't really go after that so much because they don't get traction with a lot of people. That doesn't really do much. So they're constantly looking for some new way to other this group. And at this point, they're going after drag performers, which I don't know enough about drag performers to know exactly like what the rates are amongst drag performers in terms of orientation, or gender affiliation or gender identity. But I just know that a drag performer isn't necessarily someone who is transgender, transsexual, or gay, or bi, or queer, or any of these other kinds of things. They are just a drag performer. So when Darth tries to do this kind of thing where they're all just the same thing, which he changes later. He's going to change this in just a second because he's going to make a big mistake for his particular brand of Christianity and politics.
I do think that is
Good. You're doing the same thing. Bye bye.
We're not. Nope.
Bye bye. Okay. Yeah.
Does Jeopardy invite contestants on to point and mock at them? Darth did not listen to anything he said. Like, Deaton's right. Whatever happened with this crucible, maybe they've been ignoring him for too long. They haven't recognized the greatness of Darth Dawkins' intellect and brought him over to Crucible time and time again to abuse these people. But you could see why they wouldn't. And now Darth is in here to lay the smackdown on Zen because, he's going to show him how he can outsmart him in his own room. And he never listened to anything that Zen said. Zen is such a hateful piece of shit that if he ran Jeopardy, he would only have transgender, not cross-dressers, although he'd probably bring on cross-dressers as well. He would only have them on there on the condition, in the drag performer's case, he would only have them on under the condition that they appear in their drag wear so he could make fun of them. Not that they show up in their street clothes, their regular, their whatever wear. Because I don't know if Darth's aware of this, but drag performers don't wear that 24/7. That drag performance is difficult. The gear, the makeup, the outfits, the hair, the wigs, everything. That shit's not easy. They don't dress like that all the time. And if Zen Shapiro ran Jeopardy, his version of Jeopardy would make sure that anyone that was like that would show up, and he would insist that they show up wearing the most mockable thing possible that they could point and laugh at. Or he would cherry pick individuals that, I mean, he'd probably bring in somebody that identifies, who is transgender, but also suffering from some kind of mental disorder or incredibly poor. So they've got all of these things running against them, so they can make fun of them for being, let's just call it, they'll make fun of them for being poor, overweight, mentally ill, and trans. They'll start with trans, and then everything else is just a bonus. I don't know how Darth thinks that he's owned Zen here, because if Zen had control of Jeopardy, Darth would watch it on repeat.
Busted. Yeah, you know what? You know what? You're an idiot. Okay, you're done.
Darth has just completely lost the plot.
Got him.
And I don't know who American Israelite is, but I don't appreciate the fact that he's using that screen grab of Roddy Piper from They Live. I don't like it.
Yeah. They're capitulating to the LGBT agenda by some dude pretending to be a woman coming on in Jeopardy. Okay, but we'll have a dude pretending to be a woman come on. But you see, we're not capitulating to it. Get out of here.
What does he think you were born yesterday?
I have no patience for Christians like you. Listen, all we Christians have faults, myself included. But when you're going to sit there, we're a Christian neutral platform. That we're not capitulating to the LGBT agenda. Yeah, and then you indict Jeopardy for doing the very thing that you say you do.
Jeopardy has people on to mock them? I had no idea, Darth. I do need to apologize to everybody in here. I've been wondering. I had to check by the feed on this. StreamYard does this every once in a while. It has, and I don't know why it did this. It is locked up on the comments feed, and if I know that if I try to reset it, it's just gonna go down. God, I hate StreamYard. I gotta find a better version of this. I tried, but I failed at that. So I apologize. I would be highlighting more of your comments, but I actually missed quite a few of them because I was wondering why it just kind of stopped moving. So I'll try to read from the from what you got in here. Hogtie Chamber at the 90s. I remember the attack on traditional marriage. Yeah, that was kind of how. Yeah, that was one of the first things to bring out. The attack on traditional marriage and the debates over marriage equality. And now, I mean, Christians still wring their hands over it, but now hardly anybody cares.
Get out of here.
Darth, in your view, would it be acceptable if they didn't permit them to come on camera?
If they didn't, well, how would they know if they didn't want to come on camera? Parakeet should ask that question. Because if Darth were in the Crucible, he wouldn't be on camera. He refuses to do that. So anyone he would want to debate on trans issues, they wouldn't need to insist on being on camera either. And so that's not an issue anymore.
As long as they were not pretending to be a female.
They need to pretend to be a male. So if they're a trans woman, what Darth needs them to do is to continue to pretend to be a male, a man. That's what he wants. That's what Darth needs. Like, he wants the truth. He doesn't want the truth. He needs his world to be ordered and structured. All the pieces need to fit. Please lie to me. That seems to be Darth's approach.
There's a difference between somebody who wants to come on and defend homosexuality versus, this transgender crap.
I don't think that there should be from Darth's perspective. This is what I was warning about before. This is how far, I guess maybe Darth has a point. This is how good these advocates have been. Because I think 10 years ago, 15 years ago, Darth wouldn't have made this claim. I'm sure he would have been making claims. Because here's the thing. If Darth gets his way and some fascist uprising comes up and they just decide to make transgender people their target, they're not going to stop. Because groups that rise to power like that are going to need to wind back to the groups that they lost traction with. The conservative right in this country didn't start with transgenders because they were too small a group. They started with lesbian, bi, and gay. And let's face it, in a lot of cases, what they did to lesbians was largely denigrate and ostracize them. To gay men, I mean, they pursued that. I mean, that was the big thing, especially for conservative men. You know, women on women action, right? Those guys, they had videotapes just before the internet. But two guys, bridge too far for them. In fact, I think there's a gay porn called a bridge. Never mind. This thing, like, well, hey, if these gay people come on here, that's not the same thing as this. It's not. This is Darth reacting to the overblown publicity in the right wing about like the numbers of trans people have gone up a little bit, and the numbers of people, especially amongst younger people, are starting to increase as it's starting to become more accepted. You'd expect to see that, but it's still a tiny fraction of a percentage of the American population. Nowhere near. They already lost this fight. They've lost this fight. They just don't know it yet. But if they think that they're somehow going to make this is going to be the thing that turns the tide, and they can get people doing like, this is where you need to direct your hate, folks, at trans people. And then what? When the few thousand, or the million or so trans people, that tiny fraction of a percent, just flee the country as refugees, do you think that radical right wing group is going to tolerate that? Nope. It's back to gays. It's back to bi. If they can't go after them for one thing, and then once that's done, it's back to mixed race marriages, and then hey, why not just roll in race traders too? This is the wonderful thing. I'm being sarcastic here, folks, about this kind of right wing authoritarianism is that they never really do stop hating everyone. They just do it in stages, and as they kind of roll this stuff out, you just need to wait your turn, because eventually they're going to get to you. As they continue to fail, they can't be the failure. It's always magical thinking. They always have to make sure that what the problem is in the society is that there's a group of people who aren't pulling their weight or are somehow just wrong for the country. And if we just eliminate them, everything else will click into place. Everything else will move smoothly. And if they make that and it's successful just once, politically, rhetorically, religiously, they'll keep doing it. They'll double down on it. The Republican Party in this country is doing it. These Christian nationalists, the really conservative Christian groups, are doing this, even though they're losing members. People aren't just not going to church. They're actively deconverting, especially amongst younger people. And the number one reason cited, the biggest one, is that they just lost belief. And the second reason is the hateful rhetoric directed at different groups. And this is a newer study that came out, I think, recently. I think the third one is that they're too political, and their politics suck. So, I mean, Darth really is on the cutting edge of this, in the sense that he is on the plane that is on fire, hurtling towards Earth. They're just flying this thing full tilt, all gas, no brakes, on fire from nose to tail, into the ground, into the ditch. They just don't care to stop. But it's weird to see Darth kind of pump the brakes on them. Like, well, I'll hand it to the homosexual community. At least they're not engaging in the trans stuff. I wonder if Darth even understands that that's actually a thing. Like, there's a difference between gender identity and sexual orientation. I'm sure it's not. Your politics are showing. Yeah, thanks, CP. Yeah, I knew I was going to get ranty with this one.
I mean, they're both perversions, but one of them is just out. One is perverted. The other is utterly delusional. Okay. And the more we capitulate this, it's going to bite Christians on the ass. We need to draw a line in the sand, but nobody has the courage to do that. Yeah. You see,
right. 20, 30 years ago, the conservatives needed to draw the line in the sand at pride parades, and they lost. They needed to draw the line at people openly dating. They lost. They needed to draw the line at civil unions. They lost. They needed to draw the line at actual recognized gay marriage. They lost. They needed to draw the line at depictions of healthy same-sex relationships in TV and movies. They lost. This line keeps moving, and now it's gotten to a tiny group of people that they're really comfortable with punching down on, and that's not going to work. It's going to get dangerous. It's going to be irritating. It's going to cause everybody a massive headache. probably to the level of an aneurysm or stroke. But eventually this is going to go away too, and they're not going to have anything left. This is them clutching to the last gasp. After this, it's going to be transhumanism. People wanting to have tails. Or like retroactive genetic engineering. They're going to try to get more into the science stuff. Because really the last two things to go here on this, trans issues where they really don't want to wrap their minds around that, and abortion issues, which is just birth control, which they've never been able to deal with. So I'm waiting for them to try to go after this. I remember the good old days when they actually talked the president of the United States at the time, George W. Bush, into not federally funding stem cell research because they could have souls. And George W. Bush, wackadoo, not as wackadoo as some of these other ones, but he's still an evangelical, sided with him. So people watched Michael J. Fox and Christopher Reeve beg the government for that treatment, for money into that research, not because it might help them in the future, but because it would help others like them in the future. And politicians weren't afraid, conservative ones were not afraid to tell those people, Michael J. Fox and Christopher Reeve, and anyone that would suffer from issues like them, that they should continue to suffer because that politician was uncomfortable with the implications of the scientific research and the medical benefits we'd get from it, because they couldn't figure it out and didn't want to deal with it, because theologically it made them feel icky. Other people have to suffer. Lots of people have to suffer. This is an example of Christians having to live in a world where everything remains bad and actively gets worse because it helps them justify their belief system.
See, this is what I think is hysterical about Zen. Okay. He wants to sit there and say Jeopardy is capitulating to the LGBT agenda, but not him when he does it. This is a horrendous capitulation to one of the basic principles of creation. Okay.
How?
These people, in my view, should be ostracized. Do you know who?
And ostracized how? That'd be interesting to find out. AJ writes, I was just watching an old John Oliver stand-up special from the George W. Bush era. It's hilariously dated. Oh, John, if you only knew what was coming down the right-wing sewage pipe. Yeah.
Michael Knowles is?
Yeah, I watch him sometimes.
Of course you do, Parakeet. Michael Knowles is a toilet bug.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember how he words it.
It's genocidal language, Darth. I would think that you'd be able to recite it verbatim.
He says we need to eradicate transgenderism from our society. And
you can't. You can't eradicate something like that. That'd be like that's as stupid a thing as saying I want to eradicate heterosexuality as a sexual orientation from society. We just need to get rid of that. You can't do it. I want to eradicate male humans from society. You wouldn't say anything that patently stupid. So when Michael Knowles says, I just want transgenderism to go away, neat. You're an ignorant moron. No one needs to listen to Michael Knowles. And in 20 years, probably no one will remember who he is. His name will come up in books about, remember this scary time in this crazy ass place called America, where these guys were considered actual thought leaders for their political side? And they're just a bunch of fucking genocidal idiots. And in Knowles' case, Knowles is a grifting machine. He really is grifting hard for this cause because I don't think he really cares in his actual life, and I know he doesn't care if actual people get hurt over his rhetoric, so long as Michael gets paid.
By that, he doesn't mean jailing these people or torturing them, things like that. But he says we need to eradicate transgenderism ideology. But when you allow these people on here, even to debate, what they claim, that is a part of capitulation. These people need to be ostracized.
To what extent and how? I love it because Knowles got called out for doing this kind of thing. If you get to a point where you're calling for the cancellation of public life for a certain group of citizens in your country, how on earth do you enforce that? To what extent are you willing to go to uphold that standard? Darth's claiming that this is his standard. This would cripple businesses if this were. This is one of the reasons why there's a Disney DeSantis feud right now, because DeSantis is sort of more on the side of Darth Dawkins here, definitely, than Disney is. Disney wants money, and they don't care who pays them. And they're no hero in this whole thing, but they're like, look, we have products to sell. We're capitalists. That's what we do. We're not going to police this crap because you have an issue with it. We want people to watch our movies and come to our theme parks, stay at our resorts, pay us money. And we're not going to do that. We're not going to ostracize a group of people or tick off the majority of everyone else because we want to kick down on a group of people that you feel you need to ostracize. No one in a capitalist who is actually a savvy capitalist is going to go for this. No one. This will not work. People try this and they're like, "Oh, we've got some kind of anti-woke company." Yeah, how many of those are doing okay? I don't think any of them are. The only ones that are doing well with that, are the ones that have subscription services that spit this hate directly into people's ears or pour it into their eyeballs. It's Ben Shapiro shitting this stuff out of his mouth, Michael Knowles shitting this stuff out of his mouth, and others. Greg Locke trying to wind up congregations with this crap while he's actively probably involved in criminal conspiracy to avoid taxes, which it should be because he should have been untax exempt a long time ago. Yeah, I mean, it's pathetic. Like, Darth can't even, this is not a stance that Darth has actually thought through, because Darth doesn't have the strength to actually carry this out. He doesn't have the backbone for this. Peter writes, "Hey, what I missed because you went live while I was live." Sorry about that, Peter. I didn't know you were live. I didn't get the notification for your channel, even though I unsubscribed and subscribed just so that I would get the notifications again. So this is YouTube's fault.
It's that simple. Okay.
We need to be ostracized.
Yeah, your microphone is terrible.
Thank you.
That's not an insult. It's just not good.
That's why I said thank you.
Okay. I gotta switch my headset. Okay, somebody say something and see if it's working.
You're a bitch.
All right. Have a nice day, sunshine. There we go. She helped me out, did she?
I mean, if you pay attention to the words she used, I think you should take them to heart, Darth Dawkins.
A few moments later.
Who unmuted Zen?
The timer just went out.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. How long is the timer?
I think it said 15 minutes.
15 minutes by
okay.
default.
Okay, I thought it was longer. Okay, unless anybody has any questions, I'm going to shuffle off. Get some beauty sleep.
Shuffle off, yeah.
Can I ask you, do you think that if you have somebody on a debate platform and they're defending evolution, like Darwinism, and they say, "I'm not a rabbit, but I used to be one," are they? I mean, is that promoting the the Darwinist?
I think that
Sputter, tap dance.
The analogy is very pathetic.
How so?
Why? Because it's not the same level of delusion. Okay. You want.
It's not the same level of delusion. This is interesting. In the last video, he was talking to a guy about what a worldview is, and in his idea, worldview is a set of beliefs that is undergirded by a foundational, ontological, ultimate thing. And in his mind, it's a concrete thing. You can forget about the alternative abstract scheme because he doesn't buy that. He offers that as a fake alternative for a goofed up binary that he doesn't hold to. So that being said, the worldview that he's proffering here is one in which what is being revealed to you actually is true. If you've got a worldview that's going to work, and most people have a worldview that does ostensibly work. It's the reason why Darth's atheist doctor can reasonably diagnose him. He acknowledges this. But now he's trying to get into this idea about like gauging different levels of delusion. This doesn't make any sense to me, given the entailments of his worldview. If evolution is a result of denying God, and these other issues around sex and gender identity, sexual orientation, gender identity, are also a part of that, then what's the difference? Darth Dawkins is a committed, pretty hardcore young Earth creationist and gets really worked up in his conversations about them. But now he's like, no, that's different. The only reason it's different right now is because a lot of the media that Darth Dawkins is consuming right now is really worked up about LGBTQ issues and making a big stink about how Christians are the ones who are being targeted by these ideologues, this ideology. It's a scheme, it's a plan. Like, okay, well, why isn't evolution the same thing too? Christians approached it. Young Earth creationists approached evolution with the exact same mentality. It was a scheme to remove God from school and to remove God from science. I mean, you can't get much more influential than that. They came up with a theory that would remove God from science, and science is actually something that is supposed to be this tool we get from God to, I don't know, probably fully flesh out that revealed worldview that he offers us. I would think, given Darth Dawkins' explanations and what he thinks about epistemology, that someone talking about evolution should be ostracized more. But he's trying to make that like, oh, no, that's different. And the only reason it's different is because Darth has in his head a stereotype of a man poorly dressed in drag as a woman. I mean, think like Giuliani in his little skit with Donald Trump, bad, only maybe with a partial beard. He thinks that's what's going on, and that needs to be stopped at all costs, even though that's not what's going on. That's not even close to what's happening. I mean, that was just Rudy Giuliani performing in drag.
So are you telling me that somebody who believes in evolution and wants to defend it is just as delusional as somebody who says, I'm a woman, when he has the family jewels between his legs?
Well, I think the degree of delusion would be subjective. That would just be based on the
No. Are they equally deluded?
Yeah, I think that they are. My opinion is yes.
Okay, I'm done with you. You're a lost cause.
Okay.
That's patently absurd. So we're done.
No, it's not. That follows from Darth Dawkins' reported worldview.
By what standard? By what standard, Darth?
Sir, we're done. We're done.
By what standard?
That's patently absurd.
Gonna go for it, Peter. Dressed like a woman. I have something for you, Jefferson. All right. If it's images, send them to me. DM me those ones privately on Twitter. I have a feeling they'll be bad.
There's a big difference between somebody who, whether they're a lay person, or even somebody who has a degree in biology.
But they're both delusional.
Okay, yeah, but this is apples and oranges. Okay, it's an apples and orange discussion. Okay,
I don't agree. I think that they're both equally delusional, maybe just in different forms.
No, that's okay. We're done. They're not equally delusional. This is absurd.
I'm gonna hold Darth Dawkins to this the next time this topic comes up, because I know damn well we're gonna end up getting a clip, weeks, months from now, and he's gonna get upset with somebody talking about evolution or some kind of scientific theory that, or supporting theory, and he's going to go after him. So if Darth Dawkins watches this, you need to be careful now, because now you're going to have a tough time with this. People are going to wonder why you get into a conversation with somebody who's trying to educate you about evolution or actual scientific theory, and you get as triggered as you do when somebody's bringing up LGBTQ issues. Yeah, I mean, I think it would be fair that they tell you to keep it in perspective. Like, hey, we're just talking about evolution, bro. I mean, we're not talking about LGBTQ stuff. Am I right? I don't want to see you really go off.
Sure. This is why I don't like talking with people like you. Well, I guess you're not getting the memo. Okay. They're not. It's not on the same level.
I understand you think.
Okay. Zen.
Yeah.
As much as I disagree with the theory of evolution, there is at least an attempt or a pretense of appealing to science to defend evolution, although I consider it junk science.
Okay. What about anything having to involve human sexual orientation, gender, and actual sex, biological sex? What about those three things also don't have scientific studies and reports backing them up, backing up the reality of all three of those areas?
The idea that there is even the same level of an appeal to evidence toward a guy dressing up as a woman and pretending it's ridiculous. There's no comparison and appeal to so-called scientific facts or inferences.
Why not? Darth Dawkins believes that the science that people appeal to support the theory of evolution, or and any of the actual new science that's talking about that, the stuff that he can't get right, that's junk. All of that is junk science. And now I don't know if he's really trying to say, like, there is no science backing this other thing up, even though there is. Just because he's not familiar and not comfortable with transgender issues doesn't mean that there isn't scientific information out there backing it up. And it wouldn't matter if there is anyway, because he has already excluded this science backing up evolution because he just said it was junk science. He's already contradicted himself like two different ways in trying to make this, in making this kind of defense. Like, this is why Zen Shapiro had to go. He can't talk to Zen anymore because he does no, that's an unfair comparison. And now he's trying to do, like, I'm not even sure exactly how many fallacies are happening here, because this is just not following anything.
There's no comparison whatsoever, and I no longer want to discuss it with you. I think you're absurd, and you're just simply defending it because this is what you permit on your show. Okay, so we're done.
It's just an ad hom. It wasn't actually.
We're done.
It's just an ad hom?
No, it's not an ad hom. I said we're done, sir.
That really wasn't an ad hom from Darth Dawkins, but the idea that he is trying to, like, make this about, the only reason that you're trying to defend this is because this is what you want to do on your show. At that point I would have asked Darth Dawkins, what does Zen Shapiro want to do on his show? Because he told you many minutes ago that what he wanted to do was make fun of these people and watch them embarrass themselves. Those were his words. And Darth is just took that went right through, and he's like, no, you're platforming them, you're part of the problem. I mean, I agree Zen Shapiro is part of some problems, but he's not part of the problem that Darth is pinning on him. And Peter, right, sent you 2 pics on Discord, future thumbnails, I think. You claim I'll love the first one. Well, I hope so. Let's hope that some of the images that you've sent cannot be thumbnails for a YouTube. I mean, I'm sure you know that, Peter. Somebody wrote thumbnail DD and drag. Guess what I just sent, Jeff? Well, okay, now you guys have spoiled it. All right. But I kind of figured that's what it was going to be anyway. So I'm looking forward to that. All right, let's wrap this up.
Okay. Have a nice day. Okay, good. Okay, we're done.
Have a nice day. If you don't mean it, don't say it.
There's certain things that I just will not debate with professing Christians when they're just being so dishonest.
You're not debating anything. I mean, Darth is not doing anything here that makes any sense. Zen said what he wanted to do. The crucible is set up to bully people. It's not really a debate or discussion thing. I mean, it is a discussion thing, but they want people to come in there and get quote unquote pwned or whatever. That's what they're looking to do. And Darth thinks, like, no, that's what you're mainstreaming them. You're giving them a platform. You're part of the problem. You've been duped. Like, okay. It just sounds like a weird cry for, like, why do you let them on but not me? What's wrong with Darth?
Okay. There's no comparison between the two. Okay.
Okay.
Did you notice? If
you believe that evolution and I think in this case, I think he was just limiting it to, I don't think he was limiting it to all LGBTQ issues. I think he was just limiting it to transgender issues. If you put them both in the category of being, quote, delusional, and the only difference is to what degree, they are comparable. That's how comparisons work. He already made them comparable. He said, "Oh, there's just no comparison." Why is there no comparison? You believe that both of these stances are delusional, and he's just going to say, well, that's just a tiny bit delusional, and this one's like full tilt delusional. What the hell does that mean? Delusional is delusional.
Did you notice when I was criticizing the transvestism, how some of the
that's not what you were
the admins or founders just happened to pop in? What a coincidence.
Uh-oh.
You know, if you're going on to these Discord rooms, this is something that I'm a little bit surprised at, because he'll go in there and bitch at people because they're violating TOS and stuff. He goes in there, and whether it's in his own room or it's in other rooms, he talks an enormous amount of shit about the mods in other channels, which from what I understand in a lot of these things, that's something that you're not supposed to do even as a guest. But I don't think you're allowed to do it if certainly if you get up to the point where they give you your own dedicated channel. You're not supposed to go in there and make a mockery of the server, mock the owners of the server, mock the mods of other channels. I don't think you're supposed to be doing that. Now, maybe on this particular one, maybe it's more, libertarian, maybe it's just a complete free-for-all over there. But in a lot of the other ones that I saw, that would be part of the membership agreement that you would have being on there. And Darth runs his mouth about, he complains, frequently. That's part of these videos. He's just bitching about, the quality of these mods and these guests, and these mods need to get rid of these guests, and I can't believe these channels, and they just let anybody on. And Zen Shapiro is platforming people that Darth believes should be ostracized, just full stop. Like, okay, that's not your channel, bud. You're just running your mouth about somebody else's channel on a Discord server that you have no say over. Who gives a shit? I mean, actually, the server mod should. The guys that own the server should probably give a shit. That every time when Darth is in his own room, he's running other channels and their mods down. When he's in those channels as a guest, he does what he can to run the channel down, run the server down, and run the mods down, all by extension. They should just ostracize him. They should just ostracize him. There's no reason to platform this guy.
Oh,
how so?
We got a rat in the
Wow.
house.
Well, because somebody went in there and going, Darth Dawkins,
this guy was supporting that?
he's being homophobic.
No, they probably were like, hey, Zen, if you go back over there, if you go into Darth's channel, he's in there running his mouth against the mods again. That's what I'd do. Hey, what's Darth doing today on his Discord channel? Complaining about the server that hosts his channel, complaining about the mods that built his channel, complaining about the mods that gave him the bots and things that he uses that he likes to auto-ban people for his channel, and then complaining about the other channels and other participants in those channels and the mods that run those too. Even though if he checks the fine print in the Discord server, he's probably not supposed to be doing any of that according to their standard. So yeah, if he's over there making enemies, then I would run over and be like, hey, you know what? I love this. Darth's like, oh yeah, no, they're ratting me out because I'm not being PC. They're ratting you out because you're doing something you're not supposed to for the server. They don't care if you're saying hateful things. If he's on politics Discord, or if this is politics and religion, that's the last place where I think you're going to get kicked out. I mean, I don't know when those places are going to eventually get yeeted. Discord is eventually going to end up having a house cleaning and a reckoning that will be horrible. Because it makes like, there's some stuff over there that makes 4chan look like a square dance.
I don't think that's what happened, but all right.
Well, listen, the leadership on the server, with the exception of Grug, are simply a waste. They claim that they will enforce the TOS, but they lie. They will not.
They're not, because they're not enforcing. If part of their TOS is that channel owners like Darth Dawkins are not supposed to be doing this kind of stuff, and they're not enforcing it, then Darth's got a point. They're not enforcing it. If they were enforcing their standard and their own TOS, Darth should be gone.
Okay, and then they'll go, oh, then they go, oh, I'll defer to Grug. They have been shown. It's indisputable to them that there are a small number of people who stalk and harass me and have been doing this for years. Okay, so after 2 people, they didn't even want to ban these 2 people. Okay, but because Grug insisted from my insistence. Okay, and so look, I have no respect for these people other than Grug. No respect whatsoever.
No respect.
The way they treated me. Okay, and the fact that they claim they enforce the TOS and server rules, they do not. Okay.
Again, I would agree, because I'm pretty sure the standard is we're not gonna. We don't want you bad mouthing the server. We don't want you bad mouthing the owners of the server, and the server mods, and the channels, and their creators and their mods. That's none of your business. They have to get into this all the time because when he kicks too many people out of his, he'll go running into those other channels and demand mods there so he can turn their channels into a little mini ghost town too.
Exact opposite, though.
Their enforcement is completely subjective and borderline arbitrary. Okay.
Okay. It is completely subjective and arbitrary because they're playing kind of fast and loose with Darth in there. I think it's interesting that if Darth kicks somebody out, they come back in 15 minutes. And that looks like that was his room because he had mods in there. He kicked Zen Shapiro twice. But I don't think he's allowed to channel ban people, maybe. Because he just muted him. Maybe he can. But he kicked him and he was able to get back in 15 minutes. And I guarantee you they're not going to repeat the same issue where they allow him server mods where he can server ban people because he'll empty the house out. So yeah. Michael the Canadian, so much circle jerk. Yeah, a lot of weird drama and just an amazing conversation to see between 2 hateful individuals that are so wrong about an issue, but in uniquely, like in this one point of disagreement in different ways. Like one advocating for like the open hostility, the racist harassment and antagonization of this group of people, and then the other one saying, no, that's not criticizing him, saying, no, that's not something that a Christian should do, saying, no, that doesn't go far enough for me. I think that they should be ignored until they disappeared, which isn't a thing that can happen. That's not what happens. And for somebody like Darth, I would put it to him this way. The reason that he's advocating, sorry about that, wrong button. The reason he's advocating for ignoring people until ignoring this group until they go away is so that he can turn a blind eye to when groups even more violent and hateful than him actively take steps against them. Something that Darth is not going to do. He's just going to run his mouth on the internet about this. So I think, this is something that is really concerning. It should be concerning. I mean, it is becoming more of an issue, I think, for more people. But the level of rhetoric that a lot of right-wingers and Christians, and that they tend to travel in the same pack, have built up around the trans issues specifically, but also just LGBTQ issues in general, are really hitting a fever pitch. And I really think it's because even though this country has a lot of people that do agree with a lot of these other kinds of ideas. Something like abortion, more people agree with it than not, but that's a little bit more divisive, especially if you start getting into the science of it. A lot of people just frankly don't understand it. The same thing happens with trans issues too. Hell, I'm still learning about it because I didn't understand it. This wasn't something that I was well versed in either, and I probably still make mistakes when discussing it, but I try my best. So apologies to anybody if I'm fucking it up. But listening to these people just take a step back and then run full tilt into the wall of stupidity on these issues, just insisting that they're going to claw back reality to prevent it from being like, it's not like this stuff didn't happen to them today or this year or during the Biden administration, as much as they'd like to make it sound like that's what's happened. These have been groups and individuals that have always been with us, but because they're now getting recognized as being, regular people, full citizens with equal rights, and have, public access. They have the ability to interact with the society around them. This seems to be the real issue that they've got. And what they want is a society where groups like that, or at least some marginalized groups, can exist so that they can punch down on them. And I would think that if you're a Christian, you wouldn't need that. You just wouldn't. Some of these groups you'd spend more of your time doing what Jesus did, which was to take care of the poor, which Darth's not doing. So, well, with that, I'm going to wrap it up here. I've ranted enough. So, thank you, everybody. Thank you for the super chats. And I apologize again. I would have highlighted a lot more of your comments had StreamYard not done that weird, comment constipation thing that it gets every once in a while. I wish there was a way I could kind of kick that over without having to kick off, just drop the whole stream. But, yeah, I could do that. Peter, let me do that now. Let me see here if it'll let me. I'm a little worried that it's gonna get kind of strange. I'll shoot this over to Peter, but yeah, I want to thank everybody for super chats, and as usual, the live chats. And yeah, hopefully I will be doing another one of these. Probably not another Darth one for a while. I'm thinking that Tom might be a little quiet on that for a little while. Unless Darth starts getting really active or something. Yeah, I'm going to wrap this up here, and thank you, everybody. I hope to see you all next time. I hope you enjoy the rest of your week. I may be back. It looks like I'm going to have a busy weekend planned. I've got quite a few things going on here. Hopefully, meeting Michael, the Canadian atheist, in real life. We'll see. Plan is to make that happen. So, barring any emergencies, I think that should be kind of fun. Other than that, I will probably catch you all in the next stream. Take care, be nice to each other, and subscribe, email me with suggestions, support, hate, derisive comments, or suggestions for my new upcoming OnlyFans channel, which I'm probably going to have to start soon. See you all later. Let me play this out. Everybody, take care. Oh, for the love of Pete. I play the wrong one. Oh, StreamYard. Why did you change the order of these videos? Oh, for the love of God.